Well, this is a piece I enjoy. A great challenge to an actor. The opening, again, see the beginning of the play. I'm not going to do the whole of it, I'll do some of it. The beginning of Richard III. And I was fortunate enough as a young man, some time ago, to see Laurence Olivier in his first stage production of this part. And I well remember, and I've never forgotten, the entrance before he made the speech. And again, he was a guy who broke a lot of rules. One of the rules he always broke was acting with your back to the audience, which is, you know, in the amateur world, that's an absolute no-no. You must always face front. But Sir Lawrence, no, he did something else. So I'll show you how he did it. He came on, upstage left, came through a door, which opened onto the stage like that, and he had this hump on the back as Richard III. And so he opens the door, and he stepped onto what's called the downstage foot, which is what you never do. You always enter on the upstage foot so that you're visible immediately. So he did exactly the opposite. He did this. And then he closed the door. And then he went across the stage with the lame foot, etc. And he got to about the middle of the stage. And then he turned and looked to the audience. And then he shuffled down towards us. Very dramatic. And again, I believe, some directors don't agree with me, but I believe that Shakespeare wrote a lot of stuff for the actor to speak directly to his audience. And I'm sure this is one of them. Now is the winter of our discontent made glorious summer by this sun of York, and all the clouds that lowered upon our house in the deep bosom of the ocean buried. Now are our brows bound with victorious wreaths, our bruised arms hung up for monuments, our stern alarums changed to merry meetings, our dreadful marches to delightful measures. Grim-visaged war hath smoothed his wrinkled front, and now, instead of mounting barbed steeds to fright the souls of fearful adversaries, he capers nimbly in a lady's chamber to the lascivious pleasing of a lute. But I, that am not shaped for sportive tricks, nor made to court an amorous looking glass, I that am rudely stamped, and want love's majesty to strut before a wanton ambling nymph, I that am curtailed of this fair proportion, cheated of feature by dissembling nature, deformed, unfinished, sent before my time into this breathing world scarce half made up, and that so lamely and unfashionable that dogs bark at me as I halt by them. Why, I, in this weak, piping time of peace, have no delight to pass away the time, unless to spy my shadow in the sun, and descant on mine own deformity. And therefore, since I cannot prove a lover to entertain these fair, well-spoken days, I am determined to prove a villain. Well, if you can get in touch with Shakespeare's language and learn to love the language in the same way that he himself loved it, it does half of the work for you. For instance, if a character is going to be enraged at something, then Shakespeare will give him the kind of words that just by themselves provoke anger. I can give you an example. In Hamlet, for instance, when Hamlet discovers that his uncle murdered his father, once he realizes that, Shakespeare gives him particular words that will provoke emotion, let alone the idea about the murder. For instance, if I do it neutrally, it doesn't mean very much. He has the lines, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain, oh vengeance. Now, the repetition of the sound and the meaning of the one word is repeated, and it helps you. So if I say, I'm thinking of this particular murder, and I say, oh, remorseless, treacherous, lecherous, kindless villain, oh, vengeance. And that's another thing he does. He often uses an open vowel to start to help you express the emotion. It comes through the open vowel. He doesn't say vengeance, he just says, oh, vengeance. He often uses that device. When Julia is thinking of Romeo, she doesn't say, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? She says, oh, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? It starts with the open vowel constantly. And that's very helpful too.